Okay, so if you don't know what this is, then you're going to have a difficult time passing algebra. And if you do know what this is, but you don't really know how to solve it, you're also going to have a difficult time passing algebra. Okay, but no need to be sad about this. If you're saying, oh boy, I don't know what this is, I don't know how to solve this, I'm going to get an F in algebra. No, that does not have to be the case at all. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here is talking about this very, very important topic in algebra that you need to know how to handle. Okay, of course, I'm going to get into this in a second. We're going to teach you exactly how to solve this problem and just, obviously talk about this concept that is so important in algebra. So no need for sad faces. I want you to be excited. Okay, you'll be like, yeah, I can't wait to see what this is. So we're going to get into this in just one second, but first let me go ahead and quickly introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of TabletClass Math. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher, and over many years I've constructed what I like to believe is one of the best online math help programs there is. Of course, I'll let you be the judge of that. Um, if you're interested, you can find a link to my math help program in the description of this video, but I offer full online math courses. But if you're taking a math course, my program can help you out as well. Okay, I offer full lessons and I teach you how to solve the most common type of problems you're going to encounter in middle and high school mathematics and even basic college level math. Okay, literally solve thousands of problems. So again, if you're interested, you can find a link to it in the description of this video. But if you are a math student, I must stress to you over decades of teaching mathematics, there's nothing more important than note taking. Okay, my kind of golden rule of math is those students who take the best math notes almost always end up with the best math grades, and the reverse is true. Those students who don't take math notes or have sloppy math notes or inconsistent math notes, maybe their dog ate their homework and their math notes, then you're going to have a tough time in math. It's just the way it is. And over the years, I've had students who be like, "Oh, my math notes, I don't have any math notes. My dog ate my math notes." Now, I have a very small dog. I think he would have a tough time eating math notes, but there's some big dogs out there, German Shepherds, pit bulls, definitely capable of eating notes. Okay. So if that's your situation, you need to replace those notes. You need something to study from. So I actually offer very detailed, comprehensive math notes. Those would include pre-algebra, algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, and trigonometry. You can find a link to those in the description of this video as well. But in all seriousness, you got to take great math notes. Just really focus, put a lot of work into your notes. It's going to pay off big time. Just trust me on that one. Okay, so let's get into this problem. So what is this thing that we're talking about? Yes, you guessed it. We're talking about systems, okay? Systems, all right? Now, specifically, we're talking about linear systems. Okay, and this is a big topic in algebra, a huge topic, right? And you study this really in Algebra 1, and it continues on in Algebra 2. So we want to know, when we're talking about systems, first of all, we want to know what they are. Okay, what is a system? Okay, and then how do we solve them? And as you progress in your mathematics journey, we learn different techniques, excuse me, on how to solve systems. So I'm just going to go over one basic technique, and this is a very easy problem with respect to systems. But let's go ahead and just do a very, very quick, and I mean very quick, rehash on what a system is, okay? So again, we have like x plus y. I'm just making something up equals 7. Or let's say I have 2x minus y equals 10. All right, now if you look at these here, I'm using the word linear system, okay? Like that word, linear, right? Look at the root word there, it's line, okay? So really what we're talking about is two lines. So this is like one line, let's call that line 1, and this is another line, let's call this line 2. So if you're familiar with how to graph lines, and that's another thing you need to know how to do to pass algebra, we could actually graph this line and graph this line. So let's say I have, ooh, that was a terrible little sketch. All right, let me do this a little bit neater. Let's say I had a little XY axis like this, XY plane. And I said, okay, let's go ahead and graph this line. Let's say that line went this way, line 1, we'll call it. And then line 2 went this way if I graphed it, okay? the point those two lines intersect is some xy point. Let's say on this graph it was at, oh, I don't know, let's say 3, 5, that location, okay? So this coordinate, 3, 5, all right, 3, 5, remember, this is x and this is y when we're describing a point or a coordinate or ordered pair on xy plane, okay? So these two lines, let's say, for example, intersected at this point, this specific location, 3, 5, this happens to be the solution to this system. So a linear system is basically just as far as a visual model of it, we're talking about two lines and we're looking for the intersection point between those two lines. Okay, that's a real basic way to understand two variable linear systems. And again, if you're like, oh yeah, I remember that, this is systems, and if you remember this is systems, that's pretty good. Okay, so now we just got to remember, hey, do you know how to solve them? Now, one thing you could do is you could be like, well, you just told me where the two lines cross is where the solution is at. So yes, indeed, you could graph each one of these lines on graph paper and look and to see where those 2 points intersect. And in fact, that is a technique that's called the graphing method. And let's put this here. That's called the graphing method of solving systems. And it's pretty cool. It's a real basic method, but it's not practical because what if these lines were like way over here? You know, it's like then you'd have to have, you know, graphing paper that was like 20 feet by 20 feet. And your parents would get upset because your whole house, would be covered with graphing paper because you're looking for those lines where they cross. Not a practical method, but we do use it as an introduction to systems. So we need other approaches. We need algebraic approaches to solve systems. And the two that we really need to know is the substitution method and what we call the linear combination or elimination method. So we're going to go ahead and use just one of these methods. Again, this is not going to be a full lesson on this topic. If you really, really want to master this, you want to jump into my algebra course. But I have plenty of videos on systems in my algebra playlist on my YouTube channel as well. Okay, so this is just a quick rehash on this topic, just a very quick review, right? Because if you saw this and you weren't quite sure, then you're like, I want to just stress to you, emphasize to you over, several years, decades of teaching algebra. I'm telling you right now, this is something that you need to know, okay? And if you don't know it, you're going to have a tough time passing algebra indeed. So let's make sure that that is not going to be the case. All right, so let's get into this problem. Here it is. So we're going to solve this, but I'm looking for a value for x, and I'm looking for a value of y. Okay, I'm looking for a number. This is going to represent the solution, but really this x and y are the same x and y's in some point, some location on the xy plane. So if I was to graph this line and graph this line, of course you need to know how to graph lines, and I was to look to see if indeed these two lines did cross, okay, they would cross at some xy point. So my objective here is to try to find the value for x and the value for y that would satisfy both of these equations, okay? Now, again, what I'm going to be doing here is the linear combination or elimination method. I teach this extensively in my courses and in some of my other YouTube videos on my algebra playlist, but I'm just doing a quick rehash here. So if you don't really know what I'm doing, then you're going to have to look at this in more detail. Of course, you could take the substitution method to do this. So, again, I'm going to go kind of fast here so this video is not too long. So one thing I could do in with systems is I can multiply, I can do anything I want to any equation, right? As long as I do this, whatever I'm doing, okay, I got to do to all the terms of an equation. So for example, I'm going to take a -1 and I'm going to multiply it by each one of the terms of the second equation. Now, and I'm going to show you why I'm going to do this in a second. I'm allowed to do this. I'm not really breaking this equation. I can, as long as I take this -1, I multiply by this, this, and this, okay, not just one thing or this thing. It has to be universal. I can change this equation. I can change this equation. In other words, I can multiply this top equation by 5 and this by -1, and I end up with a new equation, I didn't break the problem, okay? So I'm just kind of rewriting it in a convenient way in order to solve this problem. So I'm going to multiply -1 by everything down here to this bottom equation, and I'm going to show you what happens when I do that. All right, so we still have the same top equation. I didn't mess with that, so that's 2x plus y equals 3. Okay, nothing different there. But when I multiply -1 by x plus y and this 1 here, I get -x, -y, and -1. Now, why did I do that? Well, I want to use this thing called a linear combination and elimination. So what's a linear combination? What am I combining? Well, think of it as like peanut butter and jelly, right? And you're kind of smashing these guys together into one nice sandwich, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? That's combining. We're gonna kind of combine these guys into like a sandwich, but we're going to be eliminating something, okay? We want to eliminate something, and what do we want to eliminate? Well, I want to eliminate one of the variables, okay? So how can I eliminate one of the variables? Well, I want to have exact opposites. So by multiplying by -1, check out what I have down here. I have this -y and I have a positive y. And now I'm thinking when I squish these guys together, this is going to go away. The y's will go to, they cancel each other out. So that's good, okay? That's good because that will help me solve this system. So let's go ahead and see how that works. All right, so now I'm going to combine these two. I'm doing this combination. So I'm just adding down in this manner. So I'm going to add 2x plus this -x is just 1x or x, okay? The y's go away. That's what I wanted, okay? Plus 1y minus 1y is 0y. That's gone. And then I have 3 plus a -1 or 3 minus 1, that's 2. Okay, so now I have 1x is equal to 2 or x is equal to 2. So I have x is equal to 2. All right, so remember I'm solving for an x, I'm solving for a y, and this represents some xy point. And now I know x is equal to 2. That's simple. So excellent, right? So we're 50% there. I just need to know what y is. Of course, this x is equal to 2 is this right here. Okay, so I know the coordinate is 2 something. I got to figure out what the y is. And that's going to be the point where these two lines intersect. Okay, so how do I get the y now? Well, I know x is equal to 2. Okay, so here it is. And here's my original problem. Now, now that I know what x is equal to 2, I can take the original problem or I can take any other variation of how I change this problem. It doesn't make a difference, but let's take the original problem. And I could take any one of these equations. I could take the top equation or the bottom equation, but I'm going to replace x with 2, because I know now that x is equal to 2, and I want to solve for y. Okay, I want to solve for y. So let's take this bottom equation here. That's nice and simple, and we'll replace that x with 2, because I know x is equal to 2, and I want to solve for y. All right, so let's go ahead and do that now. So I have x plus y is equal to 1. I know x is equal to 2, so I'm going to replace that x with 2. Always use parentheses. So I got 2 plus y is equal to 1. Of course, the equation 2 plus y is equal to 1. To solve for y, I simply subtract 2 from both sides of the equation. So y is going to be equal to 1 plus a -2, or y is equal to -1. Now, of course, you have to be very, very careful with your positive and negative numbers. All these basic things that, of course, we need more assistance with. I got tons of videos on all this on my channel. So if you're struggling with any particular skill set, or any concept, go back and review that, okay, for sure. All right, so we know that x is equal to 2 and y is equal to -1. So what does this mean? Well, here's what it means. Okay, we have x is equal to 2, y is equal to -1. So the point where these two lines, if I was to graph our original problem, these two lines here, they would cross at 2, -1 on xy plane. Okay, so this would probably work out pretty nicely for the graphing technique, because this is a real basic problem. Okay, I could have made this much more challenging, but just as important, okay, x is 2 and y is equal to -1. If I plug in those values for x and y, let's say into this top equation, the left-hand side will balance out with the right-hand side. So here, x is 2, y is -1, right? I'm plugging in for right here. So I got 2 times 2 is 4. Y, again, was -1, so 4 plus -1 is 3. and 3 is equal to 3. That's a true statement. This is how we check solutions in mathematics. So when you have your solutions, you plug them back in your equations and you end up with the left balancing with the right, okay, and you end up with a true statement. In other words, not like 5 is equal to 3. That's not true. Here I have 3 is equal to 3. That's true. And there you go. Okay, and what else is true is if you don't understand this, you are going to have a difficult time in algebra. All right. So do the right thing, and the right thing is to, one, be aware of what you know and don't know. That's your first starting point, okay, outside of taking notes, okay? So just being, having that self-awareness, is the number one starting point for improving, okay? Now, if you didn't know this and you're like, but now you do know this and this video helps you out, please consider smashing that like button. That would definitely help me out. And please consider subscribing if you are not a subscriber right now. Okay, I already have hundreds of videos on my YouTube channel, organized in various playlists that can help you out. But now that you know that what you know and don't know, okay, work on improving. All right, you got to do something about it. And again, that's why if you like my teaching style, I have hundreds of videos on my channel that can help you out. But if you really want my best help for algebra, you can take my full algebra course, or you can use my algebra program to assist you in an algebra course I might be taking. All right. All right. So with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.